State houses across the country voting right now to formalize Joe Biden as the next president of the United States. Normally, this process is nothing more than a rubber stamp on the constitutional kind of processes that play out throughout the election. But that's not the case this year. The goal, of course, of President Trump and his lawyers is to continue fighting and prove that voter fraud tipped the election unfairly in Joe Biden's favor. And this may prove harder, though, than they originally thought, because things are not going their way. But today, things will change, perhaps, with the Electoral College votes. Maybe it won't change. Maybe there'll be some new piece of evidence released that could change things in favor of President Trump. But some courts could also invalidate these election results, and that's what we're talking about. Every legal setback, though, does make the president's path forward more difficult. There were several of those this week, and we'll talk about those first, and then we'll talk about Michigan in a second. On Friday, of course, we all learned that the Supreme Court rejected the Texas lawsuit looking to invalidate the election results of 4 states. The High Court said Texas lacked the standing to pursue that case. Then on Saturday, the Georgia Supreme Court and a federal judge in Wisconsin also threw out lawsuits by President Trump's legal team. Now, for more on this and what's happening in Michigan, let's welcome in Jordan Sekulow, Executive Director of the American Center for Law and Justice. He's also a member of President Trump's legal team. Jordan, great to see you.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.
All right, so I'm trying to get up to speed on what happened in Michigan today with the the release of this forensic audit. What does this mean for the case moving forward?
So, I mean, again, these cases, they are, when they release these audits, you've had the Supreme Court, they're making appeals to the U.S. Supreme Court to take a look at it. So the state court kind of route has been played out, if you will. And unfortunately, like we've seen in other states, the state courts have not been favorable. In fact, I mean, just about less than an hour ago, the Wisconsin Supreme Court, as electors were beginning to vote in Wisconsin, came out 4-3 in a case that would have invalidated 200,000 what we believed were illegal absentee ballot votes. It was a 4-3 case. So for everyone out there who thought these are frivolous legal challenges, it's 81 pages of opinion that we're just starting to go through, but it's a loss. As you said, John, with every loss, it does become tougher. And when you look at yes, there's individual cases still outstanding in states like Georgia, in Michigan, in Pennsylvania. In fact, in Pennsylvania, the Republican Party had their Trump electors cast provisional votes to keep alive potential legal challenges by President Trump or the campaign or the RNC. So, but it does become more difficult, not because of maybe one state where we could get a victory, but now looking at how do you get something outcome determinative where you would change enough electoral college votes. That is, again, it becomes more and more difficult. It does not mean it's over. President Trump's made it clear to all of us on his legal team to go forward with every potential strategy that is, reasonable strategy in court. And as we just saw in Wisconsin, 4-3. This isn't unanimous decisions by courts throwing these challenges out.
And that's what's kind of difficult here, Jordan. What I'm trying to do is manage everyone's expectations. You can be offended and really, infuriated, really, about what we've seen here, and then still have to kind of accept the fact that these judges don't seem willing to take up these cases. In the Wisconsin situation, it doesn't appear like the Trump legal team wanted to really present the evidence of voter fraud in that case, and I'm not quite sure why. You can maybe fill me in on that later. But again, this is the reality. This is the motion set in place. Now, what you talked about, making sure there is a path forward, casting these provisional ballots in Pennsylvania. I mean, that's the thing we have to focus on as well. There's a future here we have to be concerned about. And what we learned out of Michigan makes me only more concerned about what's happening in Georgia, because nothing has fundamentally changed as it relates to those folks going to the ballot to vote today in the runoff election in Georgia. It doesn't seem like the Secretary of State or the governor are too concerned about this. But what we've learned and what Emerald reported earlier about these Dominion voting machines, there are serious issues here, and it doesn't seem like that's going to get a serious hearing.
No, and what I want to make clear, though, about Georgia specifically, because I think this is a national election. It will be the difference between, especially if Joe Biden gets the 270 electoral votes and these other challenges do fail. Let's be realistic, as you said, and be honest about the situation. So if that's the case, it's the difference between a Green New Deal, tax hikes, a free pass to every single nominee. It's the difference between Chuck Schumer's New America, as he talked about, changing America, and Mitch McConnell keeping a wall against those kind of changes, and a much slimmer Democrat majority in the House, where it's only 10 votes for a couple of years, and you get another midterm chance. So, but I want to remind people this, especially Georgia voters. and people who may be contributing to the efforts in Georgia, as the left is from all around the country, is that David Perdue won in Georgia with those Dominion machines.
Exactly.
He didn't get to the percentage that you have to get in Georgia to win, but he still won enough votes. And if you look at Kelly Loeffler and you combine that again with Doug Collins' vote, they beat Warnock with those Dominion machines. So get out and vote. Don't play into this game of voter suppression, which is being mostly put out by the left, that I just don't want to show up again, or I don't think my vote's going to count. You can win these elections in Georgia. Again, I want to be realistic about the legal challenges. What I think the Supreme Court, John, was really saying on Friday night is these state legislatures could have fixed this without us stepping in.
Yeah, that's true. They could have done this.
We don't need to make Michigan Republican state legislatures and tell them what happened was illegal in their state. They can set whatever slate of electors they want.
They got to fix it,
and they're not doing it.
Or half of this country is never going to, have any faith in the elections process again. It's just like
huge problem.
It's like at the end of one of those sporting events when the security guards are keeping the students off from rushing the field. The best way is to rush the field. Like if you're a Georgia voter, rush the field, overwhelm whatever they're trying to do down there.
Right.
Make sure your vote is counted. Every person has got to vote in Georgia. There's so much at stake. Jordan, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, John.